My God. This thing which I'm going to talk about next is truly one of the most falsely informed presentations I've ever witnessed. They really do have the nerve to think they are some kind of a godly figure that knows everything about the Finnish language, just because they've been teaching the language for so long. Mind you, this presentator isn't even a native Finnish speaker, just somebody who teaches the language in some university in North America. Okay. So, what is the presentation about? Well, let me show you. Here. Why is Finnish so different? A peek into its history and structure. Okay. Sounds pretty interesting. Let's dive into it. So, this person starts the presentation by talking about some myths about the Finnish language, and I must say that I do agree with most of his points here. Finnish isn't the oldest language in the planet, it's just as old as all the other languages spoken today. Also, cases aren't difficult in Finnish, just like I said in my first video I uploaded on this channel. Of course, our agreement didn't last very long. According to this North American, all these complex suffixes, conjugations and modifications Finnish has, are very easy. I beg to differ, but let's see what he has to say.
At the aspect of taking a single word and then basing all these other words on this is what makes Finnish easy to learn.
Okay. That's a statement. I wonder what else he has to say.
So, let's take a look at that. So, what does the Foreign Service Institute say?
Wait. That's it? You made 0 points to defend your claim. You just made a statement and ran with it. What the fuck? Alright, let's move on.
I mean, there are definitely loan words, and I'll talk about that from English and other languages, but
I can't believe the nerve and the stupidity of this guy. The first sentence related to loan words, and the first thing he mentions is English, the language Finnish has taken the least loan words from. Unbelievable. This was sort of a side tangent. He's gonna get more into loan words later. Next.
This is one description that someone told me a long time ago, and I use it all the time because I love it so much. So people have said learning Finnish is like a pyramid, and learning English is like an upside-down pyramid.
Alright, here we go. The pyramid argument. Still one of my favorites when it comes to retardation level. Let's hear what he has to say about it.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, if you take an example of English, what this means is that at the bottom of the pyramid for English, you don't need to know very much to get going. You can kind of just pluck words out of a dictionary and speak, because English doesn't have much morphology. So if you take the sentence on the left there, the boys have 2 plates, all you have to do is go in the dictionary, the boy have 2 plate, and you just have to put an S for the plural. You just slap it on, and you've got your sentence. There's absolutely no manipulation you have to do to that sentence to make it a good English sentence. And it sounds perfect, right? Completely perfect. So it's dictionary plucking. Just pull the words out, not much morphology. That exact same sentence in Finnish is not at all like that. So the pojilla on 2 lautasta, there's a lot of manipulation that the learner of Finnish has to do in order to make that sentence sound correct.
I agree with the statement that English is much easier language to start with than Finnish. In English you can just put words together and you get your perfect sentence, while in Finnish it's not so simple. However, here is where his talk falls into a dark pit.
But the thing about English is that as you get going in English, English has this immense vocabulary.
English massive vocabulary? Sorry to burst your bubble, but every single language on this planet has a massive vocabulary. In fact, they are so massive that it would take longer than a lifetime to learn even one of them perfectly. Alright, let's continue.
Native English speakers are constantly reading English and seeing words they don't understand. I mean, how many people read English words, read words that they don't understand, or run across words they don't understand? Yes, probably everybody.
What? No. If that were the case, why haven't I ran into any of these many new words you are talking about? I very infrequently run into new English words. Very infrequently. Only if I read about a subject I have zero experience in, then will I run into some new words like with any language. Other than that, just watching some videos like yours, or reading some news, no specialized vocabulary, then it's a big zero.
In Finnish, the Finnish speakers here, how often do you run across Finnish words that you don't understand? Not often.
I don't know what to say here, because that's the biggest and fattest lie I've probably heard all year. I run into new Finnish words all the fucking time, and as a native Finnish speaker I've gone to school in Finnish for many years. I have studied different things in Finnish, yet still I run into new words all the time, even more so than with English. I literally couldn't believe my ears when this foreign Finnish lecturer made this statement. It's just not true.
Finnish people reading Finnish, they rarely run across a word they don't understand.
I guess I don't exist.
And there's a reason for that, because learning Finnish is a pyramid.
Did you literally just use your falsely assumed pyramid argument as evidence to support your claim? Wow. This video is a gold mine. No wonder why the comments are disabled.
You need a huge base.
So, this person falsely assumes that because Finnish grammar is so complicated at the early stages of learning, it automatically means that Finnish can't have a massive vocabulary. That's quite an illogical statement. Anyone with even a pea-sized brain can figure that much out.
But as you get going, then it gets easier. Actually, everything starts to make sense. And when you get to the top, it's like nirvana. Everything really makes sense.
Everything makes sense. That's true with any language. The more you learn it, the more the grammar, syntax and everything starts to make sense. That still doesn't mean you'll know everything though, so I have zero clue what you mean by the when you get to the top. You'll never get to the top, ever, by fucking definition, because your lifetime isn't enough to fully learn the Finnish language perfectly.
And it's really true. My students in my advanced Finnish class, they start to see all these connections at the end, and then they say it's just easy now. Whereas the students in the intermediate stage really struggle. I have meltdowns every fall in my intermediate class, and I always tell them, I say, oh, the advanced class, they're all relaxed. I said, just wait a year, it'll be okay. You just have to move up the pyramid.
Thinking you can reach the top of the pyramid after a year when you're in intermediate stage. So, basically what you're saying is that you can learn Finnish perfectly in 2-3 years. How unbelievably naive.
And that's really, I think, a good analogy for how learning English is compared to learning Finnish.
Argument based on a false premise is never a good argument.
Okay, so one of the reasons about that it is Finnish is learning a pyramid is because the vocabulary is, a lot of words are sort of built on a common root. So if we take the word kirja, book, then we can create all these different words based on it. Kirjailija, kirjallisuus, kirjasto, kirjoittaa, kirje, kirjata, all based on the same word. So a child acquiring Finnish learns a new word, knows kirja, of course, then here's kirjallisuus, has something to do with the book. Okay. I don't need to know exactly, but I know it has something to do with the book. A kid learning English hears book, and then someone says literature, no idea. No idea. Right? There's a lot more learning that has to go into learning that book and literature and author and library are all related to each other conceptually, because there's nothing in the words themselves that link them together.
Not this shit. The book argument. Now, I won't argue that there aren't many words in Finnish that are created from the same root, but still the selective evidence is just so apparent here. You could make exactly the same point with English making words from the same root and at the same time showing Finnish words with unique roots. There are so many unique root words in Finnish as well, and it would take more than a lifetime to learn them all. Actually, let's do one right now. English versus Finnish. Alright. Look at that. In English, important, transport, support, portable, export, port. In Finnish, tarkia, kuljetus, tuki, kanetava, vienti, porti. All those English words have the root port, while none of those Finnish words share the same root. How about another one? In English, manual, manage, manners, manipulate. In Finnish, oj, kaeta, keitastivat, manipuloida. Oh. English had it again, using the same root word. This time the root word being man. And again the Finnish words don't share the same root. Finnish seems to have a lot of root words compared to English language, right? Do you like my similar use of selective evidence? I sure hope so.
So that's one of the things that makes really Finnish easy, really, and not difficult, I would claim.
Your pronunciation of Finnish words sounds very foreign still even after all these years. I wonder why that is. I thought Finnish wasn't difficult. Oh, and on a side note here, this person won't be speaking any Finnish in this entire conference. He won't be showing his Finnish skills. And of course he won't. It would expose his rigid and unnatural foreign-sounding Finnish to the rest of the world.
So English is a Germanic language, right, as we all know. So it's a Germanic language in the Indo-European, Germanic sub-branch of the Indo-European family. But in terms of its vocabulary, only 26% approximately of its words are Germanic. So anytime that any of us are speaking English, only about a quarter of the time are we really using those core words from English. The rest of the time we're learning words that we're saying words that came from French, that came from Latin, and that came from Greek, for example. French and Latin being the bulk of it. That is one of the reasons that English has its sort of huge vocabulary.
Being a Finnish language lecturer, he probably should know that only a pretty small percentage of Finnish words are actually Uralic. English is not a special snowflake when it comes to borrowing from other languages. It's especially funny, because English uses a lot more Germanic words than Finnish uses Uralic words.
When you get into the higher levels, when you get into the fancy words in English, if you don't know Latin, you know, we have these tests where you have to...
Also, the fact that he calls Latin loanwords fancy. That was funny. They are not fancy, like at all. They are just loanwords from Latin, and that's it. Only reason you think they are fancy is because of history, not because there is something inherently better about those words. They are words like any other.
Well, there's no pure language. So Finnish definitely, even though I showed that page where you saw that Finnish looks sort of kind of impenetrable, it has had lots of influences from all different kinds of languages over its thousands of years of existence.
Wait. He actually did make the same statement about Finnish as he did about English. But, for some really strange reason, Finnish not being a pure language doesn't equate to a huge vocabulary, but English being unpure does. Like, am I missing something here? Does this guy hear himself?
The fact that Indo-European loans was the first group tells us that the Finns have not always been in Finland.
So, where exactly is your evidence that those so-called Indo-European loans are actually loans from Indo-European and not the other way around? Why aren't those words Uralic words loaned to Indo-European langags? You have no data. There is no writing or anything from that time period. Why would those words be originally from Indo-European languages? You have zero proof to back that claim, so why did you bring that up? There is only speculation and opinions, and those mean jack fucking shit.
And then we have the sea. That's really interesting. So the word meri, the sea. So in other words, this is the first time they ever saw the sea.
The word sea is loaned from Baltic people, so that means that it was the first time the Finns saw the sea. Do you have any idea what you're saying? Just 2 seconds ago you said the concepts of Caesar and immersion existed before Baltic loans, but now the loan word for sea means that Finns saw the sea for the first time. I am starting to wonder if this North American is trolling us.
So, and then we get to the most recent stratum, and
did this idiot just jump over the Swedish loan words? By far the biggest, the fucking huge pile of loan words. It sometimes feels like every single Finnish word has an equivalent from Swedish. I'm not gonna go and list them here right now, but believe there's shit ton of them. Like, man, I can't for the life of me understand how you could skip the most important influence for the Finnish language. I'm very disappointed.
there are just tons of words every single day coming into Finnish from English. So
what the fuck? If that was really the case, I would have noticed it. What are these words? I know there are some loan words from English, but you're truly exaggerating the influence, and I don't even wonder why you're doing it. You're an Anglo-North American, you take pride in that. You reach so hard to make even the slightest things to be something significant. For example, Trinata. Did you do your research before making this presentation? Because it seems like you didn't. And actually you shouldn't have needed to do any research in the first place with this word. It's fucking common knowledge that the word Trinata comes from the Swedish word trana. It's even pronounced the same way. Another examples, skipita, googlata. When you list company names as the main loan words, it goes to show that there aren't many loan words at all.
Hengata, to hang out, right? Just plain old show, for example, rokki, stressi, sheivata. There were perfectly good ways in Finnish for saying these things, but suddenly they say this.
Again with the horseshit. There still are, and people use them all the damn time, so I really don't see the point you're trying to make here. I pretty much agree with the rest of his presentation. It's logical, it's sound. Nothing to complain about. Overall though this presentation was a mess, and it really gives a false impression of the Finnish language to people who watch the presentation and aren't really that well informed about the topic.